Sometimes, just one moment, just one choice, is enough to change an entire life, not only of one person, but of many destinies. Can you believe that a high school girl, with a single decision in a fleeting moment, saved the life of an unborn child in the middle of a tragic accident? That extraordinary act, like destiny itself, led her into the path of medicine and to becoming a doctor. The story you're about to hear is real. It was published in Toi Tre Chu Nhat, Youth Weekly, in 1998, on the occasion of Vietnam's Doctors' Day. Its author, a female doctor, recounts her path into medicine, sparked by an unexpected event back when she was still a high school student. It is a simple memoir, yet it holds the weight of an entire life. A choice not everyone would have the courage to make. Now, listen closely. The choice. What have you done these past 20 years? Why would you ask that? You know very well that I've been a doctor all these years. For nearly 27 years, I've worn this white coat, smelled the sharp scent of alcohol swabs, carried the stethoscope around my neck, heard the cries, the wheezing, the soft groans, seen the exhausted eyes, the faces worn with infection, and the desperate looks of patients clinging to hope. How could I ever tell you everything? How could I possibly list all the suffering I've witnessed inside hospital walls, or the joy and gratitude of families when their loved ones return home, healthy and whole? How could I sum up all the ups and downs, the anxiety, the exhaustion, the humiliations, the happiness, and the quiet triumphs of this calling? I was 18, and to me, life was la vie en rose. I looked only ahead. I had just passed the baccalaureate. Which university would I choose? What landmark would I plant here for the road ahead? Would it be straight and wide, or would I face a dead end? So many dreams. To be a writer, a poet, a journalist, a lawyer. Every Sunday, I still went to the orphanage in Govap to cut nails, trim hair, bathe the children, and bring them small gifts. Then one Sunday morning, returning from a fishing trip in Long An, we saw a terrible accident right before our eyes. A passenger coach had run over a woman. Her head was completely crushed. Blood, hair, skin, and brain matter splattered across the road. My mind flashed back to a first aid lesson I had taken 5 years earlier when I was 13. A medical student volunteering for the Red Cross had told us, if a pregnant woman dies in an accident, the baby inside may still have 5 or 6 minutes of grace. Do whatever it takes to get the baby out. The woman's belly was huge and it moved. There was nothing left of her except that. So I took a fruit knife from a street vendor and cut open her abdomen. With bare hands, a fruit knife, and my memories of that Red Cross lesson, and a few scenes from the movie Helga, which showed childbirth, I performed my first surgery. The baby emerged and cried immediately, the umbilical cord still attached. I carried the newborn, along with the mother's body, in a 3-wheeled taxi to the hospital. I was overwhelmed with emotion. A life had been saved by my bloody hands. Perhaps fate was already shaping my path. I applied to medical school and passed, barely, but I passed. I gave up 2 overseas scholarships because I had already been accepted to study medicine in Vietnam. On the day I said goodbye to him, my lover heading abroad, I sat in the Abraham Lincoln Library on the Don Street, heard the roar of the departing jet, and felt a strange emptiness inside. Tears fell onto my open book. My heart softened with a deep and quiet sadness. Had I made the wrong choice? That line from a poem echoed inside me. When you left, you took half my soul. The other half became foolish. Was I foolish? A girl weighing just 33 kilos, entering university, holding a real human skull in her hands for the first time, assuming it was plastic, and then throwing it in horror when she realized it wasn't. I cried all night, then regretted it deeply. Later, I dissected cadavers, traced every muscle, opened up hearts to learn every chamber and corner, and yet I had no idea who or what was inside my own heart. There was the time I interned at Cho-Ray Hospital, once known as a charity hospital where patients received free care. I was assigned 2 beds, doing what a nurse's aide might do, changing sheets, removing maggots, wiping bodies, watching IV drips. One patient, a farmer from Da Nang, had lost his entire family in a bombing. He was transferred to Saigon, comatose from a head injury. He lay there, silent, breathing with pressure sores and wounds filled with maggots. Every day, I used forceps to remove them, cleaned the wounds with Dakin's solution. The first injection I ever gave was to a mannequin with rubber padding. The second was to this man. On the 50th day of my 3-month internship, he opened his eyes. He looked at me, and 2 tears rolled down his cheeks. He whispered, "Where is my wife? Where are my children?" I knew then. My life would forever be tied to hospital beds, the smell of blood, quiet groans, and silent tears. I understood what social work meant. I saw pain, not just of the body, but of the soul. I understood what it meant to bring comfort and dignity to someone who had nothing left. One of his arms was paralyzed. The other reached for my hand, weak but full of trust. I kept visiting him until he was discharged. 15 years later, I returned to Da Nang, stood on a lookout point at Marble Mountains, and thought of him. A river may split and curve, but always flows toward the sea. But where does the river of a human life end? Does any doctor ever forget their first patient? Back in our student days, when we trained at the maternity hospital, some of us would cry with our faces in our hands. H, that day, said, "Juk Tin, I suddenly miss my mom so much. These women scream and cry during labor. They even bend the metal bed frames with the pain, and my mom went through that 10 times. A male medical student, eyes red, watched a woman in labor, then threw up from the smell of amniotic fluid. So I ended up in charge of it all. Each student was supposed to deliver 30 births. The 7 of us handled 210 cases. We nearly passed out from exhaustion, and really did, flat out on the OR floor, probably from sheer hunger. Then came Pediatrics Hospital, Building 3A. Newborns with neonatal tetanus. Just cracking the door open, we could already hear the rattling of iron beds shaking from the infant's convulsions. Oh, how heartbreaking. Tiny babies from Kangyuok, Longkan, Tai Ninh. Infected after midwives cut their umbilical cords with shards of glass. Then came dengue fever, typhoid, measles. Little bodies burning hot, like freshly boiled sweet potatoes. Eventually, I became a full-fledged doctor. But really, nothing had changed. Same white coat, same stethoscope, same careful instructions. I remember one afternoon, during pre-op checkups, I insisted that an elderly man get an echocardiogram and an EKG. His heartbeat was strange. I thought I heard a systolic murmur, and his face was pale. The other patients waiting seemed impatient, while the old man sat quietly for a long time, then said, "Doctor, can you give me an injection so I can just die?" What do you mean, old man? You're scheduled for surgery tomorrow. We need to make sure you're healthy first. No, doctor. Just operate. Others in the room interrupted. He's starving. He has no money for food. The person who had been feeding him was discharged this morning. I looked at him again. A man old enough to be my father. His face was gaunt, from hunger, from fear, from exhaustion, from cold, from loneliness, and from pain. I had 25,000 jong left in my pocket. I kept 5,000 to buy 2 duck eggs, a bunch of water spinach, and a squash to cook with dried shrimp. I gave him 20,000 and told him, "Get a bowl of hootieu and an iced milk coffee now. Tonight, eat a bowl of noodles and drink some milk. I'll check you again in the morning." The next day, he was bright and healthy, and all the symptoms I feared might be heart failure were gone. "Doctor, can I bring these 2 cans of condensed milk into the OR with me? I've craved milk for so long but couldn't afford it. Now that I've finally bought 2, I'm afraid they'll get stolen." I'll never forget a patient, waiting for surgery, clutching 2 cans of milk to his chest. I came and went, through Bin Dan, Tu Du, Hung Vuong, pediatrics, the Cancer Institute, dermatology, Cho Rei, Cho Kwan. I'll never forget the flame trees of early summer, the green lawns, the dim yellow light in the morgue. Cho Kwan Hospital used to be a psychiatric hospital. One morning, while doing rounds with my professor, I carelessly walked too close to a cell window and had my arm pulled in by a patient, bitten until it bled. A girl in my group had her entire arm grabbed and crushed through the bars, her bone fractured. Yet later, she chose to become a psychiatrist. "I love them too much," she simply said. Then, there was the patient with mild hepatitis. His eyes were only slightly jaundiced, but why were his hands so yellow, like turmeric? "Doctor, I sell chickens, so I use Hong Kong dye. It never fades." Another patient had an asthma attack, now stable, but his hands were a deep purple. "Doctor, I sell balloons, and I blow them up all day. It's the balloon dye." Oh, my working-class patients, the ones with turmeric yellow hands, balloon purple palms, the ones who, before an exam, would say, "I'm sorry, doctor, I smell sour. I left at 4 a.m. and only just arrived at 5 p.m. I remember the first smile operation in Ben Tre. The night before, we were prepping 12 children for surgery. One boy kept turning his face to the wall, crying. His mother said, "My cleft boy won't eat. He just cries." "Why?" Between sobs, he answered, "Baksi oi, kon thuong kai kuk nei lam." "Doctor, I love this lump so much. I know it makes me ugly. It keeps me from going to school, but it's been with me for 12 years. If you cut it off tomorrow, I'll miss it." God, he missed that cleft lump in his upper lip, which pushed his 2 teeth out like little elephant tusks. "No, we're not taking it away," I told him. "We're just reshaping it to make it pretty." At once, he sat up, wiped his tears, and asked for a balut egg. He'd been craving one. The next morning, he marched into the OR on his own, no nurse needed, climbed onto the operating table and said, "Cut it. Fix it. I won't cry." God, we didn't have enough anesthesia tanks, so we had to do local anesthesia. Watching him grit his teeth through the pain broke my heart. Oh, the people of Jongkoi, the war is over, but the hardship lingers now, with 4 modern operating rooms and 20 post-op beds donated by the Japanese. Professor Natsume must no longer feel the same heartache I did 6 years ago. How could I ever forget the 19 little ones and their whispers of farewell? Doctor, my grandpa said when I get married, you must sit on the groom's side. How many more river crossings must I make? And for how long? Because of that promise. I know they will never forget me. And I know I will come back. Because so many smiles are still waiting to be completed for you. Then, Song Bay on the last day of the year, a whole delegation, the provincial health director. Suddenly, 2 little children ran up, hugged my legs, and called out my name in their sweet lisping voices. It had been 2 years since we last met. Their lips had been repaired, and now they were waiting to fix their palates, to hear their joyful shouts, to feel that gentle touch. Only then did I truly see how meaningful every drop of sweat, every hardship, every ounce of effort poured into that remote land really was. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to reason out this choice I made. Even now, I can't fully describe it. I just know how my heart feels when I see tiny hands reach for mine, when I see those trusting eyes that sparkle with gratitude, love, and belief. Sometimes, years later, when I run into a child I once treated, and they call out, "Juktine, Dr. Juktine," something swells inside me. A French woman once said to me, "Now I understand. I understand why you refused a $2,000 job in Paris and chose to work here for just $25. If I were you, I would have done the same. As long as you're not starving, the most important thing is that your work means something. So please, don't be angry with me. Don't ask why I left such an opportunity. Don't ask why I had to return to Vietnam. It's simple. I had to live here, in this land, with these people. I still have to care for those named scar, loss, resentment, sorrow. I don't work for rewards or salary. I work from the heart. Everywhere I've been across this country, when floodwaters rise in Jong Thap, my heart aches. When storms sweep through Jam Doi, I can't sleep. When wind tears the roof off a health clinic in Honjat, I feel the pain. Now, do you understand why I never left this profession? Do you understand why I never chose anything else, even something easier, more prestigious, or better paid? The choice. The essay closes like a quiet confession to her lover, a love left behind for something even greater, a love for humankind. Through her words, we come to see and feel what true physicians quietly endure and silently sacrifice. Sometimes it's not just a calling, it's the cost of an entire lifetime. If this story made your heart pause, even just for a moment, please don't let it fade away. With compassion in your heart, do more good every single day. The doctor is no longer with us, but may the human values in her story continue to spread, so that in each of us, kindness may quietly bloom. Dr. Nguyễn Thị Đức Tín, doctor at Ho Chi Minh City Hospital of Odontostomatology. Born July 22nd, 1952, passed away December 20th, 2006. She was one of the early pioneers in Vietnam's Operation Smile program, bringing hope and new smiles to children with cleft lips and palates across the country.
Dear friends, though I never had the chance to meet Dr. Đức Tín in person, I've admired her deeply ever since I read that article nearly 30 years ago. Today, through echoes of true stories, this video stands as a silent offering, a gesture of remembrance, and heartfelt gratitude for all that she gave so selflessly in her lifetime. My sincere thanks to editorial team at Tuổi newspaper for helping me recover the original article, allowing this beautiful story to be told once more with all the respect it deserves. And finally, thank you for being here, for listening, and for caring. Thank you.